Okay, and we've got our presentation tonight from Craig Wright from Columbus Computer Society.
I'll send information tomorrow.
And Deborah Neff from Arizona, from the Prescott, Prescott, as they say, Mac Users Group.
Okay, I turned it over to you. Do you want me to make Deborah a co-host too?
I'll be actually displaying the presentation, so.
Okay. You're the co-host then.
Yeah, I saw that already, so let me do a little bit of screen magic here.
And we would recommend anybody who's not presenting, mute yourself till you need to ask something.
Okay. Okay, so today we're going to be talking about exploring the Find My app, which is available on most Apple devices, iPads, iPhones, laptops, desktop machines, whatever. And also we'll talk about Apple Airtags. So presented by myself and Deborah, and Deborah was a longtime member of the Columbus Computer Society until she moved to Arizona several years ago. And she will interrupt me if I say anything wrong. And this is a picture of the downtown of Columbus. So let me move this thing out of the way a little bit more. Come on. So I'll go back to this screen. So we actually used a feature of Keynote, which is the application I'm using, is similar to Microsoft's PowerPoint product. But they have a feature now called collaboration. So you actually place the presentation on iCloud, and then we could both modify the presentation in real time. And I could watch Deborah make changes. She could watch me. And of course, if there was more people, it would still work. You could probably pounce on each other's toes by trying to change the same paragraph at the same time. But so first we'll talk about the Find My app. Find My app was first introduced in 2011 as a separate app, but it was first found on the iPhone with iOS 09, and that was part of the Mobile Me product back in 2010, and it became a free iCloud service in 2011, and that's when the Find My name came around. And it's been around, and actually starting with Mac OS Catalina and iOS 12, they combined. There used to be an app called Find My Friends and another app called Find My iPhone, and those got combined into the Find My app a few years ago. Starting with the recent release of the iPhone software, there's some new items tracker tabs, so you can locate trackers that use the Find My network. That's predominantly for use with Apple's Airtags, but there are other third-party applications that also are capable of doing that. So it's more than being about convenience. This whole product is all about security. because it deals with some sensitive location data. It's important to note that Apple has engineered it from the get-go to protect your privacy as much as it can. Any app that shows you the location of people and where your very expensive Apple products are, like your laptop, that should be architected from the ground up to protect your property. So Apple does have to gather location information. It would be kind of hard to tell you where your device is if they didn't collect that data. But that data is only collected when you're actively looking for a device that you own. You want to mark it as lost, or you want to enable its last location where it'll send you that info. And that data is stored on Apple's servers, but it isn't retained for more than 24 hours. So the way finding offline devices works, it uses Bluetooth beacons that are even more private than using IP addresses and where you what network you're on and that sort of thing. And it relies on a system of fully end-to-end encrypted and anonymous identifiers that use a rotating key provided by one of your Apple devices. Nobody else, not even Apple, can identify and track your devices using this technology. So if you're lending if you're sharing your location of where you are, which predominantly is where your phone is, if I share my information with someone, that doesn't mean that they will automatically share with me. They will have to provide that information if that's what they want to do. You're asked, you want to do this, but if you click no or whatever, it doesn't happen. And of course, then you can share your location just for an hour till the end of the day or indefinitely. And of course, you can turn it off at any time. So if you've turned this feature off, Find My App, then you'll have to go into settings and turn it back on. So when you sign into your Apple ID on your device, and I highly recommend that you use the same Apple ID on every device. So if you have an iPhone and a laptop and an iPad, you use the same ID on all three of your devices. It makes a lot of things integrate much better together to do that. So here, you can enable or disable the Find My Network by going into the Find My Network on a device. So if you're having a iPad or an iPhone, this is actually a sample screen of what that looks like. You just turn off all or any of those that you don't want active. I recommend that if you're going to use this feature that you turn them all on. And with Mac OS on the laptops, the interface is similar, but it's slightly different. So you'll have to look here and it'll tell you what you need to do. And I'll provide all these slides with to Kenneth after the meeting so he can send them out. So you can take your devices anywhere, which means you might leave them anywhere. You might leave them under a sofa. You may leave them in a conference room. You may leave them on the bus. So the Find My app is available for iPhone, iPad, iPod Touch, Mac, both laptops and desktop machines. It also supports things like Apple Watches and your AirPods and things like that. So you can track all those things. Also, Apple released a Android app in late 2021, so just a few months ago, that allows Android users to also track nearby Airtags and other Find My items. So tracking the location of your friends is typically done by using having your friend share the location of their iPhone or iPad. The Apple devices include iPhone, iPad, iPod Touch, AirPods, and Mac computers. And Airtags, which we will talk later about, you can use to track any item that you attach the AirTag to. You can make any of your devices emit a sound so that you can like point them out directly. And any of the devices that store data, you put them in lost mode so they'll lock them up, and so that you can protect your personal data from getting into the hands of people that shouldn't have that data. And you can also erase that device completely if you think, okay, I'm never going to see that device again. So here's a map of Columbus. I live on the north side. That blue circle is about where I live. So it says, as a picture of a couple of things, and has +4. So all of my devices are located here at home. But if I'd left my phone somewhere, that would also show up on the map as a separate point. So, oops, I got to go get it. I left it at the bank or something like that. So this is a picture of some iPod Pros. You can make them make a noise. Obviously, this device can't display a message, but they can make a little chirping sound so you can say, oh, there, I can find it. Your map may say, well, you're near where it is, but you still can't find it. You can have it play a sound, and then you can home in on where it is, like it's under a pillow on the couch or whatever. You can also, when you place the phone or iPad or watch in lost mode, you can type in a phone number or an email address, and it will display that information on the screen when they try to open up the phone to say, this phone's been lost, please call, and give a phone number. Now, you don't enter that data until you say, I lost it, place a note on the device, so maybe I'll get it back. And of course, this doesn't work with AirPods since they have no way of displaying any information. You can also erase this, so it will erase all of the settings and data off your phone, your iPad, your Mac, or whatever, and it will put it back in the state very similar to when you just took it out of the box when you first bought it. And you can just, when you place it in lost mode, this activation lock is automatically turned on, so that if you try to unlock the device to use it, the first thing it will say is, enter your Apple ID and the password when you first activated it. And if you don't do that, they won't be able to turn it on and just say, hey, I got a new phone. I'm going to register it to myself and start using it. This automatic activation lock pretty much prevents that from happening. And because of using Bluetooth and things like that, even if your device isn't connected to the internet, like you left it at somebody's house and it doesn't know wherever you left it, doesn't know the SSID and password to get onto their network, it can still talk to other Bluetooth devices. And eventually that data is sent to the Find My network. And so we can find your device. So let's talk a little bit about sharing your location with others. All the apps work pretty much the same way, whether it's an iPhone, an iPad, a Mac, just slightly different user interface differences. The iPhone has a button bar, the iPad is floating a window on a map, and the Mac has a left side navigation bar to show you where things are on the map. You then have to enter the name, email address, or phone number of the people to whom you want to share your location. If they have multiple phone numbers or email addresses, be sure to use the one associated with their Apple ID, just as if they were going to send them a message using the iMessage app. You'd then be prompted for how long you wish to share your location, an hour till the end of the day, etc. And to stop sharing your location with someone, tap their name on your people list and scroll down and select Stop Sharing My Location. So if you get mad at somebody and they're sharing it, you can just sort of pull the rug out from under them and they won't know where you are anymore. And on many of these apps, like the iPhone, there's a Me tab, which controls how your location is shared. There's also tabs for people, for devices, and for items, so that you can control how all of that stuff is shared among others. So we're going to talk about the Apple AirTag now, and I'm going to turn this over to Deborah. And for those of you that don't know, this is Mirror Lake on the Ohio State campus in Columbus. It's in the fall. It's a very pretty place to visit. So if you're ever in Columbus, try to stop by and see it. Are you ready?
I'm ready. What is an AirTag? Apple introduced AirTags in April 2021, about a year ago. And it's a really, really cool featured item because they're so tiny and you can kind of put them anywhere. It's a pocket-sized tracking device, about the size of a $50. If you purchase it from Apple, it can be personalized since they all look alike if you buy more than one. They can be attached to a variety of items, including keys, backpacks, luggage, purses, dog collars, if you've got a wandering dog. They have a water-resistant rating of IP67, which means they're protected against water intrusion from sprays and rain and high-pressure water jets, as well as immersion up to 3 feet for about 30 minutes. So that opens up some more rugged possibilities. They communicate in 3 ways. Near field communication allows the iPhone to read info on an AirTag that displays on a web page. The last 4 digits of a number can be visible. With iPhone 11 series and later, you have ultra wideband, low power, broad spectrum wireless technology that can track an AirTag within about 30 feet, with 10 to 15 feet with extreme precision. Bluetooth is an unlicensed radio band that runs at 2.4 gigahertz, similar to a microwave oven, your Wi-Fi router, and modem. Data is converted into packets sent via radio waves and then converted back into data when it reaches its destination, similar to the way music transmits to a wireless Bluetooth speaker. So you bought a new AirTag and you want to pair it. You make sure Bluetooth is turned on. You pull this plastic tab to activate the battery. It'll hold it close to a smartphone. It will beep. You give it a name and assign it to an item from the list. And the pre-selected list is backpack, bike, camera, handbag, phone, jacket, key, luggage, umbrella, wallet, or a custom item that you come up with a name yourself. The AirTags initially, when they came out, had been used by stalkers and criminals, and so Apple has, with each update, has tried to protect the user as much as possible. You need to agree that you've read the warnings. And like I said, new warnings were added in iOS 15.4 and iPadOS 15.4 as anti-stalking measures. So if they had physical access to your devices and you weren't really paying attention, someone could add themselves to Find My. However, the user would get a notification. So, if you have any of those kinds of concerns, check your people list and your notifications. I also have a map for the AirTag. It'll play a sound, it'll notify when left behind, and there's precision finding. So the playing sound works just like an iPhone. When I played with mine, the sound is not very loud. It's more like a chirp. So if it was buried in a sofa cushion, you would need to use the last item, precision finding. The notify when left behind, I experience that on my tablet because I take my tablet with me just about everywhere I go. And sometimes I have it hotspotted to my phone, sometimes I don't. And so when it drops off the network, if I leave it in the car and I go somewhere with my phone, and then I move on, it's lost the connection, and it'll tell me that my tablet is at the last place that it was online, but it does catch up when it gets back on a network. The precision finding, I did this in my house and I was 36 feet away. I already obviously knew where the AirTag was. I should have had somebody hide it, but I didn't. I was 36 feet away. That's what the screen looked like. As I got closer, I got a directional arrow. And when I was right on top of it, it lit up, played a sound, and notified that I had found it. And you find that view under items in the Find My app. If you want to remove an AirTag from a native Find My app, you go to the Find My app, link to your iCloud account, select the item, tap the AirTag, and at the bottom of the action list, you just tap Remove Item. And you'll get a message that said it's linked to your Apple ID. Removing this item will allow it to be activated and used by another person. If you need to reset an AirTag and it's beyond Bluetooth range, you would need a physical reset. You have to remove the back cover. You have to remove the battery and replace it 4 separate times. On the 5th time, you get a beep that is different and the reset is complete. So you can now pair it to another iPhone or iPad. This is a picture Craig found on the internet to give you an idea of the size. That's a quarter, and that's the AirTag versus tile. And he'll be taking over this portion of it. He did some research on that. And then the Apple. It's kind of about the size of about a 50-cent piece. Take it away, Craig.
Where am I taking it?
Apple AirTag versus tile.
So the tile, which has been around for a long time, it's not an Apple product. And they're in various shapes and colors and size. This one is slightly bigger than a quarter. And of course, the white device is in this photo is an AirTag. And they do basically the same thing, but there's some significant differences between them. So at first, we'll talk about a little bit of common stuff about them. So Apple AirTags, you can buy them, you know, Best Buy has them. I know Costco has them. You can get them on Amazon. Of course, you can buy them directly from Apple or go to one of their Apple stores and pick them up. And they're $29 a piece, or you can get 4 of them for $100. If you get them directly from Apple, order them online, they can engrave something on them so that you can know, okay, this is the one that goes with my bicycle, and you hide it up under the seat or whatever. And this one goes in my camera bag so that if I misplace my camera bag, I'll have it. It's always best whether you're using AirTags or tiles to hide them if you can, because it makes them less likely that somebody will say, and they just take it off and leave it on the side of the road and walk off with your whatever it is you have this attached to. So tiles, price is similar at $25 for one, and packs of 4 are up to $100, depending on what style of AirTag you get. Apple, or what style of tile you get. The Apple AirTags don't require any annual subscriptions, they just work. Tiles do require annual subscription for some services. Some of them are free, some of them you have to pay for. Premium subscriptions for tiles start at $29.99 a year or $2.99 a month. And the Premium Protect subscription is $100 a year. And apparently there is no month version there. You pay for it by the year and that's it. So let's talk about some of the features of tiles. There's a button on them that you can press that it'll ring your phone. So you can say, oh, there's my phone. So you might keep a tag next to the front door, or a tile, I mean, next to the front door, just so you can have it to help you find your phone. It's available in several different sizes and shapes, including the tile sticker, which was the one that was in the hand that that person was holding toward the beginning here. And some of them are available in white, some of them in various colors, some are squarish, some are round. So they're in several colors, and they work with both Android and Apple iPhones and iPads for that matter. Tile, when the battery dies, you throw the device away and buy another one because the batteries are not replaceable. Apparently not even by the tile people. And if you get a tile, you can download the Tile app for your Android or iOS device and set it up and begin using it. AirTags. Now this is a picture of an AirTag in a keychain type device. And that little device has a snap on it that's very secure because you will not get it on just trying to slip it into the ring that's around it. I tried that until I thought, oh, wait, this is a snap. It's only available in one shape and one color. It's sort of stainless steel on one side and white on the other. And like I said, they're sort of bigger than a quarter and smaller than $50, so it gives you an approximate size. The batteries are user replaceable, and they're fairly standard CR2032 batteries. And you just unscrew the back and put a new battery in. It takes less than a minute to replace the battery. Unlike some other devices I have, like my garage door opener, I can replace the battery. It uses a similar coins type battery. The problem is I got to go find a little teeny screwdriver to take the thing apart to take the battery out. With these, you just use your fingers and rotate it a little bit and it pops right off. It's more seamless to when you want to start up a new one. There's a little piece of plastic that you pull out, and that makes the battery make full contact, and it beeps. You pair it with your phone and you tell it, I'm going to put this in my camera bag, and you're done. You can have one set up in well under a minute. The hard part's getting it out of the box, because those boxes looked like they were built to support stuff that they store at Fort Knox or something. If someone else's AirTag, let's say somebody sneaks up and drops an AirTag in your purse so they can track you. Well, for a little while, it'll say, okay, this AirTag is here. And very soon it will say, hey, this AirTag is with you, but you don't have it registered to yourself. Somebody might be tracking you. And so you can look in your pockets or look in your purse or camera bag or whatever you've got, laptop bag, and say, what's this? And then you can take it out and put it in a glass of water to ruin it. I think it's easier to just take a hammer and smash it a couple times. It's just as ineffective when you do that. So here's some additional information about Apple's Find My website and about the AirTag website, and also Tile's website, so you can check that sort of stuff out. And I now have opened it up for questions, and I will stop sharing. Anybody have questions? You are probably muted, so.
I'll start out with one. I'm concerned about what I'm hearing about the bad boys who are using tiles and AirTags to, stick on your cars and whatever to find and track you home and stuff. How's that guard my privacy that way?
Well, like I said, it's going to notify you, at least the AirTag will, to say, hey, somebody has a tag here that you don't own, and it's traveling around with you. Like they dropped a tile in your back pocket or something. And so now you know it's there. You can take it out and either leave it at home, throw it in your trash can. So, okay, now it's following the garbage truck around.
Yeah, but if I'm not an Apple person, I'm an Android, then that AirTag.
The tile, I don't think they've done that yet. So that is a concern. Okay. So you would have to, I guess, be a little more diligent. Like I said, I have not played with tiles at all. I just did a little bit of research so we could at least chat about them and acknowledge their existence. They've been around for a number of years, and both of them can be used for less than ideal purposes. And you got to exercise some caution there. But yeah, you're right. It is a concern. Anybody else?
Yeah, on both of those devices, about how long does the battery last?
I don't know about the tile, but Apple is saying that the AirTag battery should last about a year, and then there can be replaced. The tile might be slightly longer because they could have a potentially bigger battery. Somebody's getting some feedback.
Looks like Chuck his microphone is open. There we go.
Yeah, I did have a question, but can you hear me?
Yes.
When you're tracking someone, which I do when my kids go on vacation, I like to see where they are, and it'll track them, clear down to Florida. And sometimes when you're tracking someone, it seems to be real time. It's moving along, and sometimes it takes a couple of minutes and then it'll jump to their new location. Is there a GPS thing to the Find My and an iPhone?
The short answer is yes. The Airtags, I don't know about tiles, but I assume they work similar. They actually have a GPS locator in there, but they still have to have access to the internet in order to report that data back to Apple's servers. So if you're driving down the freeway and you have your an AirTag, or you have your phone that you've said, share my location, what the phone will do is it will actually use the cellular data part of your cell plan and report its position back to Apple's servers so that it can display that information to you. It doesn't display anything about who you are. It just says, this device is right here. And if you can see it as you're going down the road, so you can be watching them and they say, why are you going the wrong way on the freeway? You can call them and say that. Say you turned left instead of right. So yeah, it works very well, but yes, it does have GPS abilities in the device. And Deborah has a question.
Statement. He was talking about going the wrong way. I had to make a trip back to Ohio for a family emergency, and I was yakking with Mr. Wright and was heading to Arkansas when I should have been going north instead of east. So I get a call from somebody else. He says, why are you going to Arkansas? And I says, because it looks like I missed my exit. So I had to turn around and go back. Another story on the Find My, I was a very new Apple Watch user. And it was another trip. I was going back to Ohio, and I was in Elk City, Oklahoma. I was traveling. I had to take my very elderly sick cat who needed a lot of medication and things. So I traveled with her. And so I was checking out of the hotel. I was on a time limit because the person I had to meet with was going to be leaving on vacation. So I had to, and I have some physical issues. That means I can't drive 24 hours straight or 18 hours, whatever. I could do a few hours and stop, and a few hours and stop. So I was on a tight time schedule. I'm checking out, which traveling with my animal was a bit cumbersome, but I was happy to do it. So I'm loading the car up and I look around and my watch is gone. And I'm going, huh. So I go back to the room. I went to where I had breakfast. I checked everywhere around, alerted the front desk, still no way, so I'm panicking now. I believe Craig was still working, so I didn't think I could call him. So I ended up calling Apple because I didn't really know about Find My. So I call him and I said, I've lost my watch. I'm panic stricken. I've got to leave. I got to get on the road. Can you help me? So they said, well, yeah, do this, walked me through Find My. So I could hear a very muffled tone in the back seat of the car where I had loaded a whole bunch of stuff in there. So the, I don't know if you can see this band will slip off fairly easily. And that's what happened. And it had fallen underneath some stuff in the bottom of a sack. And so I'm dumping things out, but it allowed me to locate, okay, yes, it's in my car. Yes, I can find it. I dumped it out and there was the watch. So that was a happy ending.
Yeah, because they're not cheap.
No, it wasn't.
And like the one Deborah has, they have a magnetic clasp that holds them on. And if you get too near another piece of metal, it may stick to that instead of the band and open it up so it'll slide off your arm. So yeah. So the Find My apps do work. But you do have to be careful that only your devices are doing the looking and somebody else isn't looking over your shoulder. Yes.
I bought an AirTag for a friend of mine who's always losing his keys. But the mistake I made was tying it to his iPhone, which he can also not find half the time. So I'm going to pull the battery out, reset it, and I'm going to put it on my phone, since I'm the one that usually has to do the Find My Play tone or play chirp or whatever to find it. Because my only choice is find their tablet, look up on the tablet, see where they are, and work from their equipment, which again, I have to find it without any help. Well, I can see the tablet because they're on the same network, but for the AirTag, I cannot see it at all.
Give me some other examples of using the AirTags besides the key ring like you showed.
We
Don't
bought
jump
a
in the
4-pack.
water.
We bought a 4-pack together, and so he sent me 2. So I now have 3. I haven't figured out where I'm going to put my second one yet. I don't, except for the watch incident, I don't lose my stuff. I know where my stuff is. So
you don't have one on your keys.
I put one on my keys, yes, but it's a little hard to put it on the back of a case. Let's see, yeah, a case. You know, you'd have to. I don't know what you would do.
But you already have
kind
the
of case.
Find. You already have the Find device on your phone. So here is this is 3 or 4 years old. It's a Canon EOS 80D digital single reflex camera. And I have an AirTag hanging on the strap so that if I misplace my camera, I know where it is. I also, most of the time, this would be in my camera bag, so this would be hidden. So I'd know where my camera bag was. And I could put a second one in the camera bag, like in where the manual is or something, so that if somebody took my bag, I could use that one because you could hide it a little easier and make it harder to find. You could put it on in your luggage. Now you could use this little device and put it on the handle of your luggage like you would a luggage tag, like the airlines want you to do. The problem is if somebody sees that, it's, oh, that's a tracking thing, I'll just take that off. Hide it inside the luggage somewhere, you know, in a little fold, put it in there and like staple it in place with around the cloth around it so that it doesn't fall out and it's not easily seen. You can put one in your briefcase. There's usually some small pocket where you keep pens and pencils and shove it in there, close the zipper and keep that where they become not easily found, but you can track them easier. The tiles, they have some that are sticky, so you could stick one on the side of a tripod, for instance. And as long as you didn't knock it off, you'd be good to go. You could use one of them key ring type deals and fasten it to the springs and situate it up under your bicycle seat. Or super glue it inside the tube somewhere. So that, of course, that would make changing the battery a little more difficult when the time came. But you could hide that a little better, so it'd be less likely that somebody would find it. When you're trying to track your property, and you're not going to put it on something cheap, like I'm going to fasten one to my pen that I got free from Huntington Bank. I'm not going to put an AirTag or a tile on that because, hey, I just go to the bank and get another one. Or go to Office Depot and buy a whole box of them for $5. They just aren't worth putting that sort of tracking on something so inexpensive. But anything that you have that you might be carrying around with you, your wallet, if you don't have a million credit cards and photos, you could hide an AirPod inside your wallet somewhere, or not an AirPod, a AirTag inside your wallet that would make it much easier to say, okay, there's my wallet. Hopefully that answers some of those questions. Anybody else? And remember, if you want to say something, you've got to be unmuted, since almost all of you are currently muted.
I just searched for unique uses of AirTag. Here's somebody that used it when they were moving. This person said, I've moved over the years, I've moved about 6 times. One of the things they hate is the moving company knows where the truck is, but you don't. And so they packed tracking devices in their boxes, and their items, their possessions were in 3 separate trucks. And so they were able to know where each truck was, with, and knowing, of course, they would kind of know. Depends on how they divided up their stuff. They just packed them in boxes.
The problem is some of their stuff was on a 4th truck, and you didn't have a tag in any of those boxes. So you couldn't find those, but yeah, there's all kinds of uses where people might want to consider using them. You're not going to put one on your dishwasher, because that's usually, you don't travel with it too much.
Lost pet. I live kind of remote, and I can't tell you how many lost animals. They just kind of go door to door, but multi-acre properties. I didn't want to live close, and so I've had dogs travel as much as two miles and end up at my house. And if they don't have a phone number on their collar, I have no way of contacting the owner. But if they do, obviously I make the phone call. But if they had an AirTag on their collar, the owner would know exactly where they were and find them a lot sooner. I mean, I had them here all night, a pair of dogs, and they escaped all the time until the owner put a fence up. And it's pretty frightening when you lose your pet.
Especially when you're in an area of the country that has things like
I have coyote, I have bear, I have mountain lion, it's an ugly pig looking thing called javelina. Let's see what else. I mean, I have a plethora of wildlife visible. I have animal cameras. The Arlo cameras are all around the house, and so I enjoy watching the wildlife. And night and day are different. And I have a bobcat. I have bobcat. I have not seen the mountain lion. We're very near public forest land, and the wildfires that go with it. We have a pretty severe one going on right now. But my neighbor across the road has seen the bear and the mountain lion on their animal cams. So I'm hoping that because I have smaller things that I put out some water for them. And I know the law of nature, but I'd rather not see my little critters get eaten by the bigger critters.
But yeah, and of course there's also rattlesnakes in parts of Arizona as well.
Well, yeah, I got those. We've only seen the smaller gopher snakes, but I know they're there. We have some scorpion. Fortunately, I've only seen the dead ones. I'm trying to think if there's anything else. The most abundant thing is the mule deer. I have an entire herd that passes through every few days, stops at the watering hole and moves on.
They like the carrots too.
Yeah, kitchen scraps from salad, but you know, they are supposed to feed themselves, but stuff that I don't use, I'll throw out a little bit. I had a jackrabbit come this morning and get a small piece of carrot end that I'd left out. He seemed pretty happy.
And of course, she has one of the same animals that I have at my house here in the north side of Columbus, and that is these little black and white kitty looking things that smell real bad sometimes. In fact, I was driving home last fall and one ran across the road not more than 30 or 40 feet in front of my car, and I went, oh, don't hit that.
There's another use. If you have to carry supplies with you as a diabetic, you put a tracker in the medication bag, because that one's pretty critical that you know where your stuff is.
Yeah. If you have sleep apnea and you travel with it, maybe it's nice to put one in the bag where you keep your CPAP machine.
Well, and here's another one for an older adult with memory issues that tend to wander off. You just zip one into a pocket.
Yeah. And unfortunately, I've known people that have had relatives that have had issues with that sort of thing. So any other questions?
I don't have a question, but I do have a comment about, and I can commend Apple for making that battery replaceable. But that other one, you know darn well where they're going to end up. And that's bad.
They're going to wind up in the landfill somewhere.
Right. And I think that's something somebody needs to address that, because, you know, we don't need any more stuff in our landfills and in our oceans.
Yeah. I mean, you remember a few years ago, you'd buy a new printer and maybe you get $75 for the printer and you could use it for 6 months or a year, and the ink cartridges would run out. And it was cheaper to buy a new printer than it was to go buy more ink cartridges for it, which is an absolute atrocity for the same reason. So yeah, anytime you can recycle. So this is an AirTag. It's white on one side and the stainless steel on the other. And they weigh, you know, an ounce or two. And they're about the same price as the tile. The big difference meaning when this battery goes bad, I go to the grocery store and buy a card with 3 or 4 CR2032 batteries, and I go around and replace it in all of my AirTags, and I'm good to go for another year or so. And my garage door opener uses a battery very similar to this, this size. So I suppose if you have somebody borrowing your garage door opener keypad that you keep in your car, stick one of these on it so that you can keep track of, okay, you forgot to return it. Why is it on its way to Phoenix or on its way to Albuquerque or something instead of in my car? So I guess that's about it from us, unless you have anything else to ask.
It sure was generous of you and Deborah to make up this program and take the time out of your life and afternoon to come and do this presentation for us. We appreciate it.
Well, thank you very much, Mary Frances. There was a significant amount of time between the two of us researching things and putting stuff into the presentation. And originally I was scheduled to do this for the group in Arizona, which I'm actually going to do that presentation tomorrow. But we got to go through it twice before that, once today and then once this last Wednesday. So it actually made doing this not quite as painful because we could reuse it 3 times. And Judy Talor has essentially twisted my arm. So I guess I'm going to be doing this for APCUG sometime in June. So I guess that makes it even better. We'll have at least 4 uses from basically the same presentation. And today on some of our notes, I actually noticed a couple of typos, which we'll fix those since I saw them. Oops. Fortunately, when you reread something for the 50th time, you'll finally see that, oops, that word's spelled wrong. Or that's the wrong, it's spelled right, but it's the wrong word, like do instead of done or something. Or one instead of once. So unless you have anything else, I am going to end my involvement and enjoy the rest of my day.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I'll see you next month, Ben.
Yeah.
Or in June.
Yes. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Chuck, your question, I'm not sure where they are. They should be down there.
There was a big box of them on one of the tables. There were maybe at least a couple of dozen, maybe more. That box was nowhere to be found by me last Friday.
It might,
And there's only, that I know of, there's only a couple of them in the shelf with the laptops.
it might be in the box might have got moved over next to the cabinets.
Oh, I'm going to end the video. We're obviously
Oh, okay.
okay.
I